we have with us Brother Marcelo. I'm sure he's there. If you can just highlight him, Sister Anuya. Thank you, Brother Marcelo, for joining. And before I pass it on to you, I'll just introduce you to the audience. So Brother Marcelo is the National Coordinator of Colombia, and he's been into Brahma Kumaris since many years, 40 years almost, I must say. He is a coach, consultant, and an author in human development, and with a specific focus on self-leadership. Actually, his customers, in the sense, he has conducted a lot of talks in one of the biggest companies in Colombia, Mexico, India, and Spain. And there are a few universities of Colombia as well, which I can't pronounce because I think they're written in Portuguese. And he's also written a few books in Spanish and Portuguese. And I must say that one of his blogs, it's called Looking for More Than a Job. He talks about important ideas for various organizations and helping to focus on the self-development. So as always, a few lines for him first, that we have with us from Colombia, Brother Marcelo Bulk is his surname, who guides us on our journey in the big hulk, who asks us to rejoice in life with no reason to sulk, and who advises on how different skills can be used to sculpt by building our moral muscle as a spiritual bulk. So along with the physical bulk, we need to really develop a spiritual bulk as well. And finally, a few lines on freedom. So today he shall share tips on how to be free and how to voyage on the spiritual spree, which all of us are on, so that amongst ourselves, we always agree with no chance left of having to disagree. Practicing Raj Yoga as his prime degree, he acts for all the souls as their life referee, helping them with their third eye to foresee and ensuring success as a full guarantee. So with this, I would once again thank Brother Marcelo for his time for us. And over to you, Brother Marcelo. So before, so the interpretation icon, you all can click, you're already seeing that. So we'll be having the talk from Brother Marcelo for the next 50 minutes or so, and then we'll have a quick meditation with him. So over to you. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot. That was unexpected. Thanks a lot. Thank everyone who is organizing these programs, and I hope everything is great with you. Especially thanks for the people who are in India now, because I know it's very late for all of you there. So thanks a lot for being present. And well, we are in Christmas time here, so everybody is already in the Christmas spirit. And in fact, I was in a lecture for Christmas. This afternoon, I'm going to another program for Christmas. So we are doing lots of things in relation to that. So I wish you a Merry Christmas, a very good time in your life. Thank you. So I was asked to talk about freedom. And thanks to the brother, he left me very free to prepare the lecture. I mean, so it was very good. So I didn't have any template, anything. But I just want to show you a little bit about this value of freedom. And freedom, everywhere people want freedom, but in different cultures, it's expressed in different ways. So I was remembering when I was very, very young, the symbol of freedom was pants, you know, like blue jeans pants. And the reason is mothers from Brazil, I don't know if Claudia is around there, but mothers from Brazilian mothers, they are very, very strict in relation to cleanliness, to everything being organized, everything good. But the blue jeans, it fades away. So the symbol of freedom at my country for the youth of that time was to wear a faded, very kind of old type of blue jeans. Nowadays, you see the young people, some they wear blue jeans teared, in many parts of the treasures. Because the thing is, it's not clear for people what freedom means. And I know many here are from Brahma Kumaris, so you all have that very clear, right? Yeah, no problem, right? But for all those who have some doubts, etc., I would like to explain to you using just a small presentation. And please tell me if it is okay or not, because I'm good with Zoom, but what do you see there? Do you see my WhatsApp or the presentation?
No, we can see the presentation, freedom, exploring an important value.
Because I'm seeing my WhatsApp. I don't know why, but anyway, it works. Freedom is a very important value. In fact, people, how much they pay for their freedom. It's amazing. Okay. If someone feels they don't have freedom, they want to go to another country. Here we have an immigration problem, a very serious one. I was just seeing a huge queue in the border of Mexico and United States. And people, they travel all the way. It's like months they travel, walking, taking whatever help they can just to cross the border and to experience freedom. At least that's what they feel they will experience. So let's understand a little bit more, okay? First of all, what's the use for values when you talk about values? Qualities in general, they are a very important element for a person. It's something that it's inside you. It's part of your life. It's part of your existence. In fact, most of the things we do is to refine, acquire, or develop some quality, even so we don't even realize. Okay, I was just listening to a very special class we had yesterday, and it was talking about discipline. Okay, so this is one quality you have to develop, you have to use a lot. Qualities you don't see in the person, like ears or like nose, you can't hear like a voice. Okay, so that's why it's very difficult to understand which qualities does a person really have. And maybe I believe I have those qualities and I don't. The normal way, the life way, is when there is a crisis, when there are problems in life, when things go tough, when things are not going well. Then you can see your real qualities. Then you can realize which qualities do I have. And the qualities you also can see in every problem, obstacles, like if you have problems in your relationship, if you have problems in your health, if you have financial difficulties. No, everybody's talking nowadays about recession. Recession is coming, okay, next year. Some say this year, inflation. I don't know if you are experiencing inflation in our countries, but here is very complicated that. So in those situations, qualities emerge. For those of you who are students of Brahma Kumaris, we are preparing a very special book of qualities with points from the Murlis. Those of you, the Brahma Kumaris, we understand the word. And so Manoj can get in touch with me because we cannot send to the word, but Manoj can ask me like in 1 month, more or less. And I think the book will be there. So we have like 95 qualities with points, extracts, and it's a very nice, because you have to understand a little bit the quality so that you know you have it or not. I'll give an example, not freedom, but just an external example. Let's say the quality of economy. So if I ask any of you, you probably say, yes, I'm very economic. I save money. I don't spend money in useless things, etc. Okay. But when there is a problem, when there is a situation where you are not, let's say you are very hungry, and the only things offered there, you don't like them. The taste is not good. Let's say it's broccoli. The cheapest thing you have to buy is broccoli. Definitely, I wouldn't buy ever. Then you're going to spend a little more money to buy something like ice cream, something that the nutritious elements of ice cream, they are very little, but ice creams are much tastier, much, much better. Okay. So this is one situation when you are faced with small or big difficulties. The qualities, they will help you to work your way in life. There is a person, some of you know, B.K. Ken O'Donnell from Brazil. He used to say that virtues, particularly virtues, among all the qualities, they can serve as a way so that you don't feel the bumps on the road. So the car of your life won't feel those bumps. And these qualities, they can be like virtues, talents, values. So again, what are values? Well, values is a type of quality. There is an Englishman, his surname is Fremantle, and he was saying something very interesting in a book. He said, values, they are invisible. They exist as any quality. Virtues are invisible, they are all invisible. But you can see them in the actions, and particularly virtues. They stimulate your action. So those of you who join this program, it is because you have some values in your heart, in your life, that those values, they push you to do this. They made you to do this. And it's very, very important, these values, because they are the reason if you can have success or not. Success nowadays is quite easy. You can have success in very small things, but integral, whole success, holistic success, the values, they are going to push you towards there. So I'm going to give you an example. From my window, I see some mountains. Bogota is surrounded by mountains. That's where I live. This is the capital of the country called Colombia. Colombia is very near Panama. It's in the border there. So it's in the highest part of South America. So from here, I can see the mountain. So my vision can see the mountain. But I'm here. If I want to go to the mountain, according to my body, I'll choose a way. I can go walking. I'll probably take like 2 days to reach the top of the mountain. So if I have an athletic body and if I have time to spend, I can go walking. Or I can take a car and the car will take me to a certain point and I'll get another car will take me to the top of the mountain. That will take still several hours. Or I can go via helicopter. So it's very fast, too expensive, but very fast. So the way I go there, it will depend on my body, on my profession, on how much money I have, etc. Values, this is similar. So you have a vision in your life, you have something you want to attain, you have a name, an objective. The how you do that, values, is an integral part. And you can do in different ways according to your values. So if you have certain values, you do in a way. If you have other values, you do in another way. Okay? So in terms of success, we have to understand which type of values you need for that. And as the lecture is about freedom, freedom is one of those values. Maybe it doesn't show up in the list of main values for many people, but if you don't experience freedom in your life, sorry, it will be very difficult for you to feel success. You can reach the top of the mountain of your career. Your children can go to the best university in the world. Okay, you have a Tesla car, one of the best cars in the world. You can have anything, the best mansion. You can live in the best zip code, in the best district in the world, and you won't feel success. Your mind will be clouded. There will be worries, problems. There will be lots of situations going on. Why? Because you don't have freedom. Freedom, when it's not there, it's like, imagine a chain, like a chain, you see in movies, ball of chain, very heavy. And you are chained to the past. You are chained to some aspects of your personality which are not so good. You are chained by all the situations that come, and every day you read the news and you get desperate and you get worried and you have a heart attack and you go to a doctor and the doctor says some bad news and you feel too bad, everything's bad. So you have everything in life and you don't have anything in life because you cannot taste them. You cannot really feel them. On the contrary, if you don't have anything in life, but you can taste that situation as success, you'll be so happy. I was watching one scene the other day. Someone very poor, he recycles things, trash on the streets. And he had a little cart, so he was carrying the cart by hand. And he had a dog. And for some reason, probably the dog was very tired of walking. So the dog wanted to jump into the cart. So the man helped the dog to jump in the cart. So imagine the cart full of cardboards, paper, old stuff, all the rubbish things. And the dog was over the cart, and I never saw a dog smiling so much as that dog. He was in heaven. Even so, he was extremely poor. Well, he was a little fat, so I guess he was well fed, and the man, his owner, was very poor, and still that dog was so happy. And one of the richest person I met here in Colombia, he used to have a face of broccoli, always like bitter. And he was so rich. He had a picture of him meeting the Pope of that time. And he was in such a high position. He had everything in life. And he was always negative, pessimistic, always, all the time. So that's the difference. What I'm saying here is that's the difference, that when you have freedom, you can feel for you. Maybe you're not getting the success you wanted. Now, tomorrow, World Cup is reaching the end of its turn, and many countries went out, including, Colombia was never there. Brazil, my original country, didn't win. So people are very sad, crying, But when you have freedom, you accept that situation. You accept the reality. In fact, you embrace the reality. Come on, When the reality is very ugly, that's the time when you need to embrace it even more. You really need to accept that. And freedom is a very important ingredient. If you have that value in your life, you won't complain about anything. You will be able to accept everything because you always be free from all the chains and strings and ropes that life tries to put us, to catch us in a cage. So you'll be always free. But how to develop freedom? If you realize that you are complaining a little bit about things, if you realize you are complaining, I don't know, I see many people are with cold there, so we are complaining about the weather, we are complaining about the behavior of your children, you are complaining about the situation of your country, the security of your country, about inflation. It's very horrible. So that means you lack freedom. Maybe you have, but you don't have it in the extent, at the extent you need to face whatever is happening around you. So I'm going to talk about freedom and how to develop freedom in 3 different levels, okay? So everybody with me, if you have a question, you can post the question in the chat box. So at the end, we have time to respond, okay? So I'm going to share again the screen. So one difference here is that sometimes freedom is a virtue, sometimes is a value, okay? So for instance, if someone is very free, so that's a virtue. So their whole life will be free, okay? There will be the sense as if the person is floating in the air. And I've met many people like that, many people. But as a value, specifically, it will affect our actions. Okay, so in fact, I put could be just a virtue. In fact, could be a virtue. Virtue is a big thing. When you have that virtue, especially if the virtue is something that you worked from inside, from within, that's very powerful. But I'm going to focus here just freedom when it's time for action. So you have to decide where you're going to live, with whom you are going to live, if you are doing this or that for your spiritual growth, if you are going to the doctor or not for your health. So all these things, there is a value behind that. And values, they come from a very, very difficult pathway to follow. The values, they come from your beliefs. For instance, I don't believe in hospitals. I believe, okay, I'm just giving an example. Dr. Manoj, please don't take me out. So many people I know they don't believe in doctors. They don't believe in hospitals. They don't. That's the belief. If you go to a hospital, you're going to get even sicker, I know so many people in that situation. So what happens? When the person is sick, they are not going to a hospital. Yes, because they don't believe in that. So there is a value there, which is a very negative value, but it's a value. Just some values, they are negative too. So there is a value there that blocks that person to go and look for help because they don't believe. And I have one person here living here, and she is in that category. She doesn't believe in hospitals much, okay? So that's how value works. But now, if I believe in the power of hospital, medicine, etc., wow, I won't have any second thought. If I have a problem, I'll go and look for help. I'll go and follow the treatment. I'll go and do whatever I have to do because I believe in that. Okay, so that belief generates a value. Beliefs come from your cultural background, from your family, from your school, from friends, and also from self-leadership. That's the highest belief I know. is when I work on my self-leadership. I'm the leader of myself, and I decide what I am going to believe. And that's very, very powerful, very powerful. Okay, so values come from that. So a value like freedom comes from lots of factors. So if you haven't developed that, it will be a little difficult for you as an adult to develop it as a value. But what you can do is to take over your own leadership. I am my own leader. And on that, with that thought, I develop freedom. With that thought, I develop love, mercy, and many other values. But with that thought, so I'll be more cautious. I'll be watching my own actions because I am my own leader. Just recently, something was happening. My mind started to racing at many different directions. Then I controlled my mind. I just paused a little bit and I just focus in a different way. And that was very powerful. So when I do that, values are created. And next time you have an action, those values, they are there. They are ready to go. Okay, is that fine? Yeah, this little concept. So let's see the 3 levels you can have in terms of values. And maybe I'm talking here from a Western point of view. I'm Latin America, which is a subgroup of the Western world. So I hope you can relate. The first level is when you feel you are speaking and acting by yourself. Your words and your actions are something that comes from your own decisions, your own will. So other people, they may influence, of course, we live in a society, okay? So they may influence, but they are not guiding in terms of forcing you to do that. So speaking and acting, that's the first level. That's the level of rebellion, rebellion against the system. That's the value that is working in the world today. The world today, there are so many strikes. In Peru, our neighbor country here, they took out the president, so everybody's in the streets protesting against that. So freedom is when whatever I speak and act is because I really, really decide that. So sometimes it will be against my religion. Sometimes it will be against my culture. Sometimes against what others think, speak, or act. But I will do it because I am free. And that level is extremely, extremely liberating. So that's the 1960s movement in the West when people, the hippies, you all have heard about the hippies, they all decide to do their own stuff, they all decide to do their own things, and nobody could say anything to them. They all act whatever they want. It's a typical Western teenager. Every parent who has a teenager child, they know they cannot say anything to the child, okay? They have to be careful because the child wants to speak and act by themselves. That's the act of freedom. And that's the first level. It's the lowest level, okay? First, in terms of lowest, okay? Is the beginning of the experience of freedom. But you know the problem? I'll go back to the example I gave in Brazil when the youth, when the young people like me, they want to wear a blue jeans, a faded one, fade, the color is not, there are lots of stain, sometimes a little dirty, okay? But then every guy in my school, they were all wearing the same. So what type of freedom is that? Everybody's doing the same. So that's not really freedom, okay? So you are still under a condition. Oh, because you are young, you have to wear like that. You have to dress like that. So when I became a military, I was in the Air Force of my country. I was in the school for officers for 3 years. That's when I met Brahma Kumaris, in fact, during those 3 years. So of course, when I was there, I had to cut my hair very short. and and they were very careful. The military, they are very careful about the cleanness of your uniform, everything, you know. So I was so careful, and all of a sudden, I couldn't wear faded jeans anymore. And I look at all my friends; they were all wearing faded jeans. So who is freer here? Because they were following the path of their parents. They were doing whatever their society and the group was telling them to do. But I decided to go to the Air Force on my own will. I was not drafted. I chose because of the education, the quality. The place was beautiful. I still remember, even today, the roses. They have roses like this size, like a lettuce size. It was huge. It was beautiful. Yeah? Someone, is it okay? Yeah? Can I go?
Sorry, brother. I think somebody by mistake.
Okay, no problem. So, you know, so who was more freer? You know, I who decide to go to a place on my own will, or they who were following, everyone was doing the same. So this level is very restricted, very limited. And it's quite common that when you get into a spiritual institution like Brahma Kumaris, or you have to go to United States, so you have to apply for visa. So you feel like you are under you are not working, you know. You are not working well because you cannot speak and act by yourself. So I remember a very good point I heard many years ago. When you are working on your own spirituality, just remember who is the self. Just ask yourself, who is the self? Because maybe I'm mixing the self I think I know, the self who is suffering here because they don't have freedom, with the real self. The second level, and I'm having a problem here. You know, I have a little problem. So if you are very patient, have you worked on patient already? I hope so. Because I'm using a new PowerPoint and I'm still struggling with this. So okay, it worked. I'm from a tech background, so I can work out, but still, it takes me. Okay, now yeah, that's good. So the first level of freedom is this: is the speak and act by yourself. The second level is a different one. So here I worked a little more on myself. I worked on my own spirituality. I understood freedom a little more. So I start to think by myself. So the freedom reaches the point of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You know, we are kind of funny as human beings, right? Okay, just as I was mentioning about the dog smiling. That was the first time I saw a dog smiling, by the way. And they are very normal. Any animal, nature, everything is very normal and natural. But human beings, we can think one thing, we can speak another thing, and we can act in a total different way. We are very particular about that. And somehow, because of our reality, at the end of these times we are living, we think in a way And we think that's very good, very nice. But the second level has to include the first level. And that's when the real freedom starts. It's when you start to think by yourself. It's when you are thinking because you worked internally and you yourself understood. Like this week, there were two problems, two defects, two very nasty things that were mentioned in several different classes, in three classes, in fact, in three points. And I start to look at myself, I start to think about myself. I start to reflect on myself. I start to meditate on myself to get rid of those negative things because I understand they are not good for me. So that's the point when you really start to experience nothing is a prison, and you can speak and act what others want you to speak and act, and still you are yourself because you chose those people with whom you are. You know, that's the biggest contradiction about freedom as people normally see. Oh, I can do whatever I want, you know, I can think whatever I want, I can sleep until very late, I can just eat whatever I want. That's what normally people think about. But when you really have the freedom of thoughts, then it's wonderful. It's marvelous because you can speak and act just like other people, but you are totally free because you are not attached. Your thoughts, your attitude, they are completely flying birds. They are uncaged birds. They don't have any restriction. And because my thought process is very good and very elevated, of course, my actions will be like that, and my speech will be like that too. But I won't be in fact. No, it's like, nowadays you are in everybody, I think you all have, now you have to wear this, one of these, everybody, Dr. Manoj, yeah. But, no one's here with mask. How is it possible, It should be mandatory. There is this one is a little more comfortable, So when I had to wear masks, I was in India, when the big pandemic starts, when all the airports start to close. And really, it was a very interesting moment in life. I have some breathing problem because when I was young, I had bronchitis, asthma, so I had lots of problems. So I thought, how can I travel with a mask? The trip between India and Colombia, don't do it. Don't do it if you can avoid it. It's very long. It's longer even than United States because I go via United States. So it's like a 15 hours flight. So imagine 15 hours with that mask, with bracing problem. But I have just a little bit now. It's not much, but still sometimes it shows up. So I start to think, okay, what to do now? So I thought by myself, okay, I have to go. Yes, I have to go. So let me train myself. So I start to train my own breaths. I start to act. I have to wear glasses from time to time, and that's another challenge. So I start to train myself because I decide to go to India. I'm deciding to come back. It's my decision. I'm thinking by myself. So I have to act according to what others say. Yes, because that's the contract. That's the deal. I chose to travel, so I have to act according to what the airline says. And it was an amazing experience. Even now, I went to Mexico. It's not that far, but still inside Mexico, I went from one side to the other. It's like 5 hours flight. I was wearing masks all the time, no problem, no problem, because I trained myself. That's the magic when you are free. You can accept the bondage that are in life, because there are many bondages. Mothers with children, fathers with children. You know, there are bondages that you are a citizen, you are supposed to act in a certain way. But when you are free here, you can act as you have to, and there is no problem there. You can do it. Because here, I don't have a mask here. I know you can see, I mean, Dr. Manoj, he has to teach people how to wear masks. And you see, the mask is here, it's not here. So the mind is free. I'm free. And other people I know who refuse to wear masks, they refuse to put vaccines. They refuse everything. Here, I see a little mask there. They think they are thinking about by themselves, but in fact, they are not. They are still at the first level, speaking and acting by yourself. So they are telling me to do this, I won't. But if I think by myself, oh, they are telling me to do this, okay, why not? So I change the I won't by why not? The third level, so it's okay, yeah, it's fine. So the third level is, of course, the most elevated one. That's when I am myself. And that's the aim. Any spiritual path I know, any philosophical path, even in the career, no, nowadays, there are lots of people who are coaches. I am a coach myself. So we always try to be ourselves, everybody. And that's the maximum freedom. I am myself at last. So I remember a friend of mine, he was a business consultant, very successful one. And he was in such a stress. I met him in the immigration of some country, I don't remember which. And he couldn't speak properly. He was incoherent. I think that's the word. He had like a fog in his brain. He was not talking properly. He was not acting properly. So after that, he quit. He left his job. He left his family. He left his house and he went to the mountain. He started to live there. He did organic agriculture, lettuce. He did. So he was totally free of everything. He was finally himself. Guess what? It didn't last 6 months. In less than 6 months, he was back to the family. He was back to his house. He was back to his job. I mean, it doesn't work like that, you know? To be yourself, you need to understand 3 things. To really have freedom in your life, you have to understand 3 things. And these are the things we work in Brahma Kumaris every day, kind of. First, who I am. So again, who is the self? So who I am, really. Second thing, how this word works. So the mechanics behind the word. And the third thing, well, the third thing is interesting. You know, someone gave me this ball, and I'm going to remove the birthday stuff here. Otherwise, you won't see the ball very well. Can you see the ball? Yes. As you can see, it's a ball in a net. So you would say there is no freedom for the ball. No, this ball is very free. The ball is itself. There is no question about that. The ball is the ball. But then situations come to the ball. Can you see the situations come? Problems, relationship. Oh no, they put broccoli in my lunch. All the problems and the salary decreased and the inflation. So many problems. But then that's called resilience. It's a very powerful quality. And with resilience, the ball and the self can bounce back to whatever he or she was before. But there is always some trauma. There is always some problem. So you need a push a little bit. You need to, sometimes a little, okay, I got it. Who is going to push? Because you are yourself. Other people, they are going to push. Other people, they are like balls like this one. They are also being squeezed and smashed by the situations. So who is going to push that? So there is the other element. The third thing you have to work to be yourself is God and your relationship with God. I didn't like the idea of God. So I was a little rebellious against God. My life was not nice. And so I didn't like the idea of God at all. I remember that if I knew in the course of Brahma Kumaris they are going to talk about God, I wouldn't go ever, never. Okay. But nowadays I understand God not from a religious point of view, but from a spiritual point of view. And God is the one who can give a little push, who can give a little help. In fact, a big help. Because life is squeezing us all of that. There is war, inflation, ecological problems. Delhi, I don't know if there is any Delhiwala, pollution is in the top. Everything is a problem nowadays, everything. So we need God to kind of push us and help us to really be ourselves. Because when I am myself, there is no cage. You are totally free. You are totally loose there in the air, and you can speak and act as others want you to do. You can think whatever you want because you are yourself. Because you know these three things. You know yourself, God, and you know the mechanic, behind how things work. Why there is a war, why there is inflation, why there is broccoli. I don't understand, So you are able to understand all of that. And so your mind is free, your self is free, your heart is free. Okay, I think that's it, doctor. So there is time for questions there.
Yeah, thank you so much. There is time for one question. There's a question in the chat box. The person is saying, how do I free myself from the addiction of social media?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the first question is, how did you get into that? I mean, come on, how did you allow yourself to be trapped by it? There is a very funny cartoon the other day. United States, they use scarecrow. Scarecrow is like a doll. It's made of straws, old clothes, and they put that in the fields. So the birds, they think there's a human there, so they don't go and eat anything of the fields. So there are two crows, and they were talking among themselves, and they said, what do you think? Is it a human or is it a doll, no, a scarecrow? And the other said, it's a scarecrow, it's a doll. And how do you know? Well, he's not looking at the cell phone, the mobile phone. It's not looking there. So it should be a doll, of course. Yeah, that's the reality. Well, I don't think myself as addicted to the social media. I think that's the first step. Never think you have that addiction. Second, program yourself, schedule yourself very well. For instance, if someone sends me a WhatsApp, it's very strong in Colombia. I know United States, they don't use much, but here it's very strong. So if someone sends me a WhatsApp after 6 o'clock in the evening, I don't read. I really don't read. That's my time for other things. So next day, I'm going to read. That's it. It's not that urgent. People can wait a little bit. And the last thing is learn something. If you like to go to social media, go with the purpose of learning. Because then you realize that many things, they don't teach you anything. So you start to discern, and it's called algorithm. So for instance, in my Facebook, you don't find anything about the war in Ukraine, any word. You don't find anything about politics there, because I start everything that's something from the war, politics, bad things come, I take it out. And slowly Facebook learned I don't like those things. So everything there is vegan recipes, something spiritual, some events. So those things I can learn. And slowly, because you just go for learning, slowly you're going to lose interest, because they're not so important, really, So you can get addicted to God, no problem. You can get addicted to meditation, no problem. You can get addicted to broccoli, I don't know. But anyway, those things will be much healthier than going to many things. And an extra, if you really feel you are spending too much in the social media stuff, if you realize that, okay, start to produce things. Like I have lots of things in social media. I do it. So I write texts, I record audios, and I have videos, and I'm the one posting them. Eventually, if someone makes a comment, I respond, but that's it. So I decrease my participation a lot because I'm a producer. I produce things. Okay, so that's another tip that will work. Good luck.
So thank you so much. Amazing, wonderful, creative and humorous way of sharing things. So I would now like to request Dr. Ashok Mehta and Sister Claudia also to propose the vote of thanks. So over to you, Dr. Mehta.
Dr. Mehta, you are mute.
Thank you, Brother Marcelo. You were superb, outstanding, and absolutely free with the freedom. We really enjoyed every minute of it by looking at the mountains at the back of your house to thinking about your genes and then onto everything else. I think that was super, very beautiful way of presenting the freedom. We think of freedom in a different way. I think you have taken us to the base of good thinking. I think beautiful, we enjoyed, and I have never had an opportunity of listening to you earlier, so I was absolutely spellbound by your talk. Thank you very much. I think this is a good opportunity on this value series to meet our colleagues, friends, and Baba's children from far off. I have been to Chile, to Brazil, and to Argentina. I wish I had traveled to Colombia. I used to know.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I used to know Prakash from Colombia. Once upon a time in Florida, I stayed with him. He was a wonderful person as well. But I'm sure that if you meet him, please convey my regards and love to him. Thank you very much. We enjoyed. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Marcelo.
Thank you, Dr. Mehta. And I was with you many years ago in Bombay with your daughter too. I was in the apartment of your daughter. I used to go and serve in Worli Center a lot, many years ago. I looked a little different. Yeah, I know. I was a little bigger, but the soul was the same, just in case.
Thank you.
Om Shanti, Marcelo. So nice to see you talking to us today. As a Brazilian, we get together in this many different parts of the world. So it was because we are free. So we go to different places and we live there and we serve there, whatever is life send us to. And it was very nice to hear you talk about freedom. You did a very nice presentation. I really like that one. Thank you very much for showing us in a different way. Just the way how you presented, and you know the technical part of the computer kind of helped to show us. Yeah, so I'm still, my voice is not very good because I'm still getting free from COVID. So, but I'm getting there. So this is going to be my freedom's coming. Yes. Better put the mask on. Yeah. Okay, good. Nice to see you and have a Merry Christmas and enjoy Feliz Natal.
Nice to see you too. Feliz Natal para você também. Okay, Om Shanti, thank you.
So thank you so much. Before we go into the meditation, Anu sister, if you can just take the photograph because people start leaving soon otherwise. So if I can request all of you all to please open your video. Yeah, you all are doing that. Thank you. We can take a quick photograph with Brother Marcelo as a
Yes.
memorial. Yeah.
So open your videos. Wow. Okay, one more. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, brother.
Okay, so let me just quickly do the announcements. So as all of you know that the next one would be episode 55 on cooperation. We really have an esteemed faculty, all new speakers this time, and it will be new for the next month as well. So it's on cooperation. One of the senior Raj Yogis, a famous author as well, Sister Judy Rogers from USA, the Peace Village Retreat Center. It will be on the Christmas Eve, Saturday, 24th December, Christmas Eve for India. But for the West Coast, it will be early morning time, and the East Coast 10 a.m. So you are welcome to join. And following that, we have another very senior Raj Yogi brother from UK, Brother Neville Hodgkinson. So he'll be there for the values workshop on cooperation. It will be on again the New Year's Eve, Sunday. I must say Sunday, rather it's 1st January. And remember, we are just going back on the time. It will be 7:30 p.m. India time. We are just going 30 minutes back to adjust the West Coast Murli times and Bhog timings. So make sure we'll be reminding you of that as well when we send you the flyers. And this is our elegant calendar showing you all the events which are happening. So with this, I would like to say that you all are free to watch the workshops and the Values for Life episodes on the links which are mentioned here. The workshop link is omshanti.tk/workshops, and the Values for Life episodes, the talks, are on .tk/playlist/English. I think you can just type in the language as well instead of English and you'll get it. These are our websites, vancouver@ca.brahmakumaris.org and the Values for Life series @gmail.com. And vihasa.in is the website of Values in Healthcare, a Spiritual Approach, and the vancouver.ca. So with this, I'll just stop sharing. And now I would request Brother Marcelo to take us in the meditation mode. Should I play some soft background? we'll do some commentary. Is that okay?
So just Dristi Bas or commentary?
Yeah, Drishti Bas should be fine.
Okay,
That's
Dristi Bas. Fine. Yeah, yes.
Thank you once again, brother, so much for your sharings and meditation.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And again, well, hope everything goes well in your life and Merry Christmas. Bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you so much, brother. Merry Christmas to you too from all of us. Thank you. Bye.
Om Shanti. Bye-bye. Take care. Take care. Bye-bye. Om Shanti.